We are back with another episode of the Bald Brad Show, where we cover all the major news that you need to know about and more. Sometimes we get into the freaky deaky, oddly trans article, but our goal here is to give you a big picture of what the heck's going on out there in the world and make sure that you're prepared for whatever podcast, weekend, outing, whatever the heck it is you do in your life, that you're kind of in the know, in the loop. Maybe that's what the show should have been called. In the know, in the loop. I like it. Maybe we got to do a rebranding. Well, we're heading into the weekend here, folks, which means that today is basically a news dump day, but also an opportunity for Donald Trump to go bomb somebody. And what I mean by that is it's a great time to do over the weekend because the market closes and people make some big boy decisions over the weekend, so it can't affect the stock market. But anywho, hopefully all of you are having a nice week. The week is done, finished after today, and I hope all of you will have a lovely weekend. Well, let's jump into the news here, folks. Did Joe Kent leak classified intelligence to Tucker Carlson? The FBI could soon release damning docs. Uh-oh. What's going on, Joe? Former intelligence... I miss saying that. Now, that's a reference to Joe Biden, which kind of was when our show got, if you want to call it popular, I don't call it popular, but that's when our show grew. Granted, we started it under Joe Biden's regime, but we used to call him Joe. We didn't call him president. We didn't call him Mr. President. No, we called him Joe, Joey, and well, a lot of other things too. I'm sure you guys have a ton of names for him as well. Former intelligence official Joe Kent is suspected of leaking classified information to disaffected MAGA media personalities like former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. Wow. That's a quote, by the way. Disaffected MAGA media. And FBI Director Kash Patel may be poised to declassify information regarding a probe into former intelligence official Joe Kent in an effort to prove that the investigation was not retaliation for his resignation. And it did seem that way at first, but I don't think that's the communication or their lack of the administration. Because usually you don't really talk about ongoing investigations, but the media is playing it off, as well as all these lefties coming out on social media, playing it off as if it's some sort of retaliation. A report published Thursday by Notice, that's Notus, also stated that the FBI Director Kash Patel was considering declassifying as much information as possible in order to show that the investigation into Kent was already underway when he announced the plan to leave the administration. A law enforcement source told Notice that FBI counterintelligence had already begun a criminal investigation into Kent's alleged actions long before he announced his resignation. An administration official told the outlet that Kent had leaked classified information from a server to a member of the media. And could that be Mr. Carlson himself? You know, that was a big miss on my part. I was really excited for Tucker Carlson to have his own show, split from Fox. He still does produce some good stuff. Like if it's away from the politics side of it, he actually still does make some good stuff, especially when he's talking about things that are kind of, more like hunting, fishing, maybe like the paranormal here or there. Like that stuff is really fun to me. But when it gets into like Trump territory and stuff, I'm just, and people are like, oh, it's not fun because, he's hounding your boy. It's like, no, I don't mind people bashing Trump. I mean, that's like the nature of being a Trump supporter. That's all people do is bash the guy. I'm kind of numb to it at this point. But I would rather like a little bit more sense and linear logic to like who you used to be and who you are now. Because it definitely seems like almost two different people. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes, you when you're in the know, your mind does change. And to the public, it seems like, whoa, this guy's kind of gone off the reservation a little bit here. What happened to him? And then the other side of it is, no, you're just in the know now. You've been able to gather a lot more information. And that honeymoon phase is over. Very well could be possible. I backed off Tucker after Charlie's murder and his bizarre anti-Israel rants. Yeah, once he left Fox, I mean, granted, I'm never really into a specific, I guess, show reporter. If I was, or what I used to be really big into like the Daily Wire, and I still am. I just don't have time. and I would still watch them. Obviously, we utilize their outlet quite a bit here on the show, especially because they just do a great job of packaging everything. It's clean, it's to the point, blah, blah, blah. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what's going on with the anti-Israel rants. I call it IDS. You guys know that. I'm trying to coin that term. Just like they have TDS over there on the left. On the right-hand side of the aisle, we have IDS. That's Israeli or Israel derangement syndrome. You could also do JDS, Jewish derangement syndrome. Either way, it works great. But you know how the left always loves to blame Donald Trump for everything? It's kind of that way with the right. And I think you guys should call it out too. I think if you hear somebody like always bring up Israel, it's like, bro, like you sound like the left. Because you ever have like a relative or even a friend that everybody knows annoying, and then does your family ever go like, oh, you're pulling a Joe, you're pulling a Joe. Like if I looked at you guys and I was like, ah, man, you sound like Joe Biden right now, you would feel a little bit disheartened, you'd feel a little bit insulted. It's the same way. It's the same way, but it's true. It's a very odd thing that the Republicans and conservatives have this really bad IDS syndrome going around. Really bad Israeli syndrome. Well, Kent, according to a Wednesday report first published by Semaphore, was already under the FBI's microscope, which we heard from before. So that's always fun little news. Well, allegedly, there's some civil wars happening with the Democrat Party. So let's go into, it's always about us having a civil war. Let's go into the Democrat Party having a civil war a little bit here. Some of you kind of perked up in your chair because you're like, ooh, drama? Drama? Is that what Brad's about to cover? Absolutely. We have here squad-backed progressives hit with cold shower as moderates win Illinois primaries. Uh-oh. A trio of progressive Democrats backed by members of the squad. Boo! You suck! Suffered blistering rebukes on Tuesday as Illinois. I always do that. I'm from California. Chill, bro. As Illinois voters rejected them in favor of more moderate candidates. Are they actually moderates, though? You know what I mean? Or are they just normies? That's my question. People on the Democrat side of the aisle have gone so far left that now freaking RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Elon Musk and Donald Trump are Republicans. But here's the thing. When you watch The View, I know none of you do, but when you see a clip or two, they always go, oh, the right has just got so far right. They're just a shell of who they used to be. Like, no, not at all. I'm sure there are people that have moved further right. And if anything, the right has moved further left. What do I mean by that? Look at the Republican Party. They're not exactly all about small government anymore like they used to be. Clearly, they don't give two bleeps about the, spending the moolah. So, of course, it hasn't gotten further right. And don't give me this stuff of like, oh, well, the Republicans are a bunch of war hawks that just want to go to war. Are you? It's never been that way. It's literally have never been that way. They always find like pockets. The vast majority of Americans are not for going to war. We don't mind going, doing a little bombing spree and taking care of business, slapping somebody around and then bringing the boys back home. We're not against that. Sometimes people need to be, a little spanking on their tushy. Iran's just getting a big spanking. And a few more. They didn't listen the first time. Or the second. Or over 200 times. Can't say we didn't tell you. You know what I mean? We were pretty open about what we were going to do here. Yeah, you want to keep screwing around, you're going to find out. Hey, you know what? We're going to give you a while. We'll give you an entire presidency of Joe. And you didn't want to listen, so you know what? You are now. And for those that aren't listening, they're 6 feet in the ground. Where are we at here? prompting questions from onlookers. This will be like, I don't even remember the article, Brad. Well, we're talking about Illinois voters rejected the Democrats and those that were backed by the squad for more moderate candidates, prompting questions from onlookers about whether the party's core and momentum should be entrusted to the far left wing of its base. Is that even a question? What do you mean entrusted? You guys have driven your areas into the ground. The fact that this is still a question for a lot of these people, that just tells you it's not bad enough. We watched that video yesterday. I believe it was Cam Higbee over there in what appeared to be, I think it looked like Skid Row in LA, but I'm not sure. Just dilapidated. I mean, the entire curb part was missing, right? The concrete just gone. You can tell it hasn't been painted in a while either. Homeless everywhere. Not bad enough. To James Carville, a longtime Democratic strategist, and just a guy that just seems crazy. If he comes across as that nutso on camera, and I get sometimes it is performative, like I've always mentioned about myself, I tend to be very just like I try to be very calm, very chill in real life. This is just entertainment. I don't act like this. It'd be silly to talk like this to a person. Can you imagine me going like this to you in person one-on-one? You'd be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Like, what the heck? Is he on something? No, it's entertainment. We're on camera here. Come on, boys. This guy, though, I don't know. I'm not so sure. He seems crazy to me. The answer has been no for a long time. Talking to Fox News Digital in response to several progressive candidates losing in Tuesday's Democratic primary in Deep Blue, Illinois, he questioned the narrative that squad-aligned progressives are gaining momentum. What momentum? About 15% of the Democrat Party identifies themselves as progressive. And what's unique, they win about 15% of the primaries at most. That was something I've dealt with all my life. Is that true? I mean, was there really hardcore progress? Like, I'm talking like what we have today with these three knuckleheads. Was it really always 15%? I mean, look, the guy's, that's his job. You got to take the numbers from the horse's mouth. He knows what he's doing, allegedly. And by whom, I'm talking about James Carville. In New York, Zohran Mamdani got 50.5%, which is not overwhelming. That's hardly the basis for some national movement, Carville said, referring to the socialist mayor of New York City. Well, I mean, it kind of is, right? Because you have AOC that's very much supportive of what it seems like of socialism. You have now Mamdani that is a self-proclaimed socialist. But don't worry, you guys, it's a democratic socialist. See, it's different. Okay. And then you also have up there, and I believe is it New Hampshire that, or Vermont, that Bernie Sanders kind of runs that show. He's a democratic socialist too. See, if you put something in front of another word, it completely changes it, which sometimes is true, but not in this case, because the end goal is always just socialism. The progressive loses all. The progressive loses all came despite high-profile support from some of the most progressive figures in Congress. So you got Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC. Who's this? I'm not going to try it. We talked about this person before, I think. Well, there's a 26-year-old Palestinian American running on an anti-establishment platform and promises, here we go, promises to implement a wealth tax. Oh, because that's worked out real well for places like California, New York, Virginia. Matter of fact, there was a clip of Kathy Hochul in 2022 saying, I'm paraphrasing, by the way, in 2022 saying, oh, well, who cares? Go to Florida. We don't need you, basically. Head to Florida. Well, now in 2026, because somebody did a clip above and then right below, hey, maybe, take your family down to Florida and then basically tell them to come back. Oh, I thought you didn't need them. Yeah. Well, when you realize you're carving out your tax base, because it turns out the wealthy pay most of the tax, not just on a federal level, but also state level, you run into a big problem there. But these people are idiots. Man, Just keep going. I mean, Florida's loving this. You notice that Ron DeSantis has been completely quiet about this stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's not going to mention it, but I'm talking about doing like a full movement here. No need. Everybody knows that everybody's going to Florida. Why would you not? If you went from California to Florida, you're saving 14% of your money. Might be a little bit of a high number. Let's just even lowball it. Let's be silly. Let's do 10%. You save 10% by moving across. Yeah, you got to deal with the weather. Okay. You're rich still. And by the way, all the nice cruises are out of Florida anyways. Doesn't matter. Nice airport, clean highways for the most part from what I've seen when I've gone over there. You're saving 10%. If you're wealthy, that's a lot of moolah. That's a lot of. People are leaving California, they're leaving New York, they're leaving all these places, and they're going to the red areas. The problem is now you guys got to deal with their shenanigans because they voted for the crap in that state, and now they're going to vote for it and try to change your state. And it's always been that way. It's never trying to assimilate into local areas. It's never trying to assimilate into states. That's why people say don't California, Florida, don't California, Texas, all these places. They're just no different than the other immigrants that come in that don't want to assimilate into this country. And I'm mostly talking about the illegal ones because usually if you're coming here legally, you want to assimilate. The illegal ones tend to not want to. And if you've been here for 30 years and you still can't speak English, you still haven't formulated in your community and all these other things, you don't know your neighbors, you're not doing nothing, giving back, got a lot of questions. I mean, how many times have Nick Shirley gone out and he's talking to somebody, they barely speak any English? Tells you everything you need to know right there. But anyways, wealth tax, just lovely. They're trying to do that here in the state of California. They're trying to do a 5% one-time tax on people's wealth. If you're a billionaire, I believe. Just one time, though. Yeah, we won't do it again. Okay. Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah, we will. We promise we won't do it again. Right. So what is your proof then, Gavin, and all these other knuckleheads that want to do this stuff, that you're going to cool it on the spending? Because I haven't seen anything. All I see is you just giving money left and right, hand over fist to all these illegal immigrants for their health care, for their education, for their legal services, rental assistance. I mean, anywhere in which way you look, they're getting what seems to be, and I could be wrong on this, vastly more than what Americans are. I always love people. I say, oh, Brad, you're not really pro-American. Really? I mean, it's literally on my mug. The flag, I got the flag. I mean, what do you want me to get a tattoo on my face of the flag? I'm freaking as pro-American as you can get, baby. All right. So that's the squad. I told everybody, oh, it's Friday episode yesterday. We'll spend more time in the chat. All right, let me get in here. I'm sorry. All right, Gavin totally ratioed on Nick. Yeah, the camera meme that we showed here. Yep. But isn't that disgusting? I was listening to John and Ken on the way home from work yesterday. Well, it's I forgot who it's left now. One of them retired. I can never remember it. I've been listening to them for literally almost 20 years now, and I still can't tell the difference between John and Ken. I've been legitimately almost every day, I'm not even exaggerating, I listen to that show, and I still can't remember who's who. Doesn't matter. Mentioning, it's kind of disgusting because Nick Shirley was doing an interview. The John and Ken show was playing it over AM 640 yesterday, and just highlighting the fact of implying, and we showed the picture, implying that Nick Shirley's basically a pedo by captioning it, "Where's the kids?" Let me see if I can find that for you guys. Just give you, some of you don't, some of you are working, take care of your families, not always involved in the politics of things. You want to take a step away. Totally get that. And it's basically a fake image of Nick Shirley with a bunch of cameras. So this is what that, that's not it. It's part of it. It's a news article though. I wonder if his office took it down. Shirley picture. Let me see. Matter of fact, you guys could search with me here. It's this picture here, but it doesn't show the whole thing, but it does the job. So it's a fake AI photo of a guy in a doorway peeking in. He has a bunch of like cameras all over him, and there's a speech text bubble above his head that says, "Hey, can I see your kids?" And it's basically implying that he's a pedo and all these other things. Well, the issue is that, come on, baby.
Damn!
All right, so for those on audio, you know that new it's not UFC, but they do that slapping thing. It's kind of like there's an arm wrestling thing in front of them, and then one guy gets to slap the other one and tries to knock him out. Well, Nick Shirley just slapped the crap out of Gavin Newsom. It is AI. I gotta watch it again.
Damn!
This JD, this chubby JD one gets me every time. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see what this might be the clip that I'm thinking of.
Yes, the governor of California is an enemy to the people of California. He's literally working to support the fraudsters. Meanwhile, he could be working to expose the fraud. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to say, okay, let's go after the guy who's exposing the fraud. Let's not go after the fraudsters. That is what he's doing, what he's actively doing each and every single day when he makes out these statements, and all he does is blame the people who are showing the fraud. Why doesn't he say, hey, Nick, great video. How can we help?
Right. That's what I would say. It was, wow, great video. How did you find this? Where did you go? And where are you going next so we can find somebody to go with you? Don't you think that would be a common response?
Exactly, because these tax dollars don't say right or left on them. They don't say Republican or Democrat.
Right.
Tell him, Nick, I'm getting amped. Tell him, baby.
Left on them. They don't say Republican or Democrat.
Right.
Each tax dollar is a dollar for the American people. And when they go in and steal these dollars from us, they're not robbing just the liberal Democrat in California. They're robbing everyone. Yeah. And then the governor gets mad at the person for exposing the fraud. How crazy do you have to be to think with that logic?
Yeah.
Exactly the clip that I heard on the radio yesterday. Correct. Logic. Reason. Refreshing. Refreshing, Nick. I'll tell you what. This Gavin, scummy new scum, doesn't care. Spending money on projects. Gone. Where's the money? Where's the money, Gavin? Jeez. Ridiculous. I mean, it's a great point, is it not? You got a guy out here. I don't want to say he's doing it for free. It's his job, right? He does investigative journalism. The guy's putting a lot on the line, by the way. You don't think he doesn't get death threats? I mean, the guy wears a bulletproof vest when he goes out. People think like this, I mean, this is part of his look, kind of always has been. But you don't think that this puffy jacket going out, you don't think that he doesn't wear a vest? You can see it in some of his clips. You can see the outline of it. You don't wear a vest unless you know that there's some high degree of threatening happening to you. So let's see what people are talking about here. I think I saw that Trojan horse meme. It would be great is we could post memes in this chat. Yeah, that would be fun. But then, you get the lefties posting inappropriate stuff, and then ultimately we get banned. Nick Shirley is receiving lots of threats right now and is asking for donations for security. Yeah, security would run you, I'd say for somebody like him, as much threats as he has, you're easy paying 6 figures a month. Easy. He would be paying probably $1 million or $2 million just for security a year. Because he would need probably 4 or 5. Let's see what else we have here. All right. Let's go back into the news. There's some other stuff I wanted to get into, and we're going into the weekend. Remember, we always fly at the seat of our pants here on a Friday, which I actually enjoy. There was another one. Let me see. There was where to go. I had an article queued up for you guys. Oh yeah, this one. I want to know your guys' opinion on this. I did a 60-second video on this last night, and Val Kilmer's coming back. Val Kilmer is coming back, which I don't know how I feel about this. And you might be asking, but Val Kilmer passed away. What do you mean he's coming back? No, the technology is there where you can resurrect the people now, folks. Resurrect the people. Val Kilmer is dead. Hollywood now wants to put him in another movie anyway. Well, how are you going to do that if the guy's dead? Are you going to just kind of dig up some old footage of the guy? Not through footage. Nope. He already completed. They're not going to do it through, again, footage that he already completed. Not through a role he finished before his death. They're going to do it through artificial intelligence. We're told this is a tribute. It's not a tribute. It is necromancy. This is, I believe, from Michael Knowles, who I'm a big fan of. Would love to have a nice stogie with that man and a glass of whiskey. Yes, necromancy. And no, this is not just a melodramatic way of saying I dislike the technology. Taking a dead actor, reconstructing his face and voice with AI, and then putting words in his mouth is not ordinary filmmaking. It is an attempt to conjure a human presence beyond the grave, not the man himself, of course, but his image, his shade, his likeness. That is exactly what makes this so grotesque. What do you guys think about this, though, in the chat? Again, my chat's right here. I could see all of you. You also could see it on my screen here that you're looking at. Do you think this is something that we should be doing? Because, let me explain, it's inevitable. Just because Hollywood's not going to be doing it, you already have people creating the AI. We watched this with the Brad Pitt stuff, if you recall. I didn't finish the sentence. Here we go. I'm trying to pull up the video for you guys. Yeah. I mean, some dude in Abu Dhabi in a basement, right in the middle of a desert, right? Like Tony Stark from Iron Man. Tony Stark built this in a cave. Some guy in the next 5 years is going to be able to do a full-length feature film with Hollywood stars. You're going to go after the guy out there in the desert in a basement? Really? That has nothing. What are you going to take from him? He doesn't have anything. So it's either Hollywood doing it or somebody else is going to do it.
You killed Jeffrey Epstein, you animal! He was a good man!
He knew too much about our Russia operations. He had to die, and now you die too. Epstein was the key to our evil Russian operations, but no one will ever know, because the truth dies here.
Killed Jeffrey Epstein, maybe the last.
So anyways, this is where we're going. And AI is taking over. We've all seen this. It's something we keep talking about. What is it? In the end of 2022, let me actually find that clip for you. It's the original, and it's kind of the litmus test. The original Will Smith spaghetti video. This was at the end of, I think, 2022. Yeah, or 2023. Here you go. You get to see the progression. And somebody actually did this perfectly for me. This is going to show you the progression of AI. This is always and always has been the litmus test. I'm going to play it for you.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
So now we're in 2024. So again, this is 2023. Right? Really weird. And now you're getting into 2024. Watch the top. It's going to take you through the years.
Uncle Phil, come try this. Fresh pasta of Bel Air.
So have you heard of Kling 3.0?
I heard it can create multiple scene cuts like this with a single prompt. And it knows when to cut to whoever is talking.
But did you know that all this audio was also generated with the same prompt?
I guess I didn't, sir.
Study harder, kid.
So that, what you just saw from this was, I believe, the tail end of 2023. So really, it's only been like 3 years, maybe a little less than that. That's where we're heading, folks. So going back to the AI Val Kilmer stuff, should we be doing this? So let's look at this here. Let's see, because the older folks, and that's mostly my audience. My audience tends to be older, 35 and up. It says, okay, let's get into this here real quick in the chat. Where are we at here? Let Val rest in peace is what somebody said here. It's not cool. They can remake him to be someone he isn't. That is true. I wonder how much money Val's family will be making. Well, I want to see through this article if they even gave allowance to do this. Now, somebody brought up in the comment section on one of the videos that, well, maybe he, before his death, approved this. If he did, then I'm fine with it. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that a lot of these actors are talking about is, am I going to be able to, sign off my image? This was also echoed slightly by, Morgan Freeman was recently on a interview and talking about how people are utilizing his voice, but not paying him. And through the interview is basically like, well, if you pay me enough money, I'm cool with it. And he mentioned there was a company, I think in Australia or something, that said, hey, we would love to use your voice. We don't need you to do voiceover. We're just going to take your voice with AI and we're going to, do some stuff with it. And they paid him handsomely. And he said, look, as long as you're paying me for it, whatever, you're paying him for it. So I suppose maybe that's going to be something where there's limitations to what you could do with it. The issue is that this stuff's going to be in the hands of the consumer, man. Look where we're at already, that people are making videos of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting with one another. I'm going back to this. If you think China, all these other countries aren't going to start doing this stuff with celebrities, it's just going to be crazy. You got another thing coming. AI will replace Hollywood. I think so, but I would imagine at some point there's going to be legal limitation to this for Hollywood. I don't. They're freaking out in Hollywood, and obviously I'm in the midst of all of it here, where I'm at in Southern California. That's sick. Brad, be jealous. I met with Michael Knowles and had a cigar and whiskey. Did you really? I don't know if I believe you, Jeff. If you did, damn you. It's not right. Val did not accept this role. AI has gone a little crazy. Yes, absolutely. Get more creative. Geez. I'd rather much fake AI actors than resurrect real ones. My thing is, what I would love AI, and maybe you guys will be on board with this, and I think some of the actors would too, is like, I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, Star Wars fan. Like I kind of miss seeing these actors kind of in their prime. And it's really tough to watch them kind of age, And I'll give you a prime example. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, so I love Harrison Ford. He most recently got I think it was either a Lifetime Achievement Award or some sort of lifetime award, I believe at the SAG Awards this year. And, he's just older. And the most recent Indiana Jones film did de-age him. It still looked a little rough, but with AI, you're going to be able to de-age all these guys, and they're going to look like they're back in their prime, and you kind of get that nostalgia feel that people are always kind of itching for. Now, when he passes on, how's that going to work? I don't know, but people are still going to do it anyways, unfortunately. So it seems like most people in the chat are against it. I kind of thought that would be the case. And Electric Lemon did bring up a great point. James Earl Jones gave Disney permission to keep using his voice for Darth Vader. That is correct. If the actor gives those rights, and I'm sure it's within a certain scope, then, it's kind of there, especially if you have an actor that's been doing it for so long. The AI can learn their mannerisms, how they, act in certain situations. So I don't think it'd be too far off of like how they would actually portray something. But a lot of people are really against this. And I think it's mostly the older generation. As you move through, people are going to it's going to become more normalized for the youth. So once like our breed starts dying off, then I think it's going to become normalized to resurrect old actors and bring them back. Michael J. Fox, we could get a Back to the Future 4. Don't think it's going to happen, but that's another one. I love Michael J. Fox, and I always wonder what his career would have looked like, if he unfortunately wasn't diagnosed with Parkinson's. And who knows, with AI advancement, maybe Parkinson's can be cured, since it's already solving mathematical equations for us. It solved a mathematical equation not too long ago that I'm using the word solved loosely. It gave us like a variable or a piece that allowed us to kind of figure it out. But it's also done antibiotics. I believe it developed 2 antibiotics already. There's a lot of greatness that can come out of this. But Michael Knowles is not in favor of it, very clearly. And I could see the older generation here is not as well. So we're just getting in weird territory. You're going to start bringing back like Michael Jackson, start doing more like Elvis stuff. They're already utilizing it to help kind of make film look better. To give you an example and extend the picture, there was an example of this with The Wizard of Oz over there at the Sphere in Las Vegas. It's an old film and it only has so much room as like let's say we're going to use an example of like a square. But the screen needs to kind of come out more. So they utilized AI to fill that. And let me see if I can actually find that for you. Let me see if I can get an example for you guys of where they use the AI. That's not it. There's a guy that is actually talking about it. Sphere. Let's see if we can get this up. Ball Brad, you are very creative making videos. Loved your March 9th. Here's your answer video. You should make some movies using AI. I appreciate that, Karen. I appreciate you saying that it was good or creative. Well, you didn't say it was good. You said it was creative. I'm adding that in there for myself. Thank you. I just had fun doing it. It was silly. So it was obviously some of it was AI. But it's also kind of pricey to do the AI still right now. I'm trying to find the extension. Anyways, I can't find it, but yeah, they basically extended it out and made it work. Elvis's biggest fan. The Sphere is awesome. I'll be in Vegas next month. A guy used AI to craft a cancer treatment for his dog, and it's Wow, it's working. The implications are sadistic for big pharma. I think there's just so much stuff is going on. It's like it's scary. Actually, it's exciting, but it's scary. And I would imagine at some point, I'm just waiting for it, the government, the federal government, to get in and start limiting like the use of AI, especially when people start losing their jobs in the masses. And some people are already claiming that's happening already. We have this here: the Chinese missiles targeting U.S. Navy could trigger overnight war shift. Uh-oh, here we go, folks. This is from Gordon Chang. He's written many books. It's something that's been on the back burner, me wanting to read his books. Well, the risk of broader global conflict is rising as China has an indirect role in the Iran crisis, comes into sharper focus with new concerns emerging over weapons used against U.S. forces. Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang, who's kind of the one guy that's always on Fox News or other outlets talking about China, joined Fox News Business on Mornings with Maria to discuss how Beijing support for Iran could quickly escalate tensions with the United States. Cheng pointed to reports that advanced weapons used by Iran may already be tied to China, raising the stakes for any future confrontation in the region. Wouldn't this give a little bit of credibility to what we covered months ago when Trump was dropping the B-2 bombs on the nuclear facilities? Do you remember there was this report that we talked about how people were saying there was these planes that were flying from China into Iran, but like they turned off their tracking system? Do you guys remember that? It was very quick. You know, the news cycle is changing very fast. And it definitely was a topic of conversation because I remember us covering it here. Well, is that where maybe they got some of this stuff from? Maybe. I mean, I'm trying to make a correlation. That doesn't mean causation. Fascinating point, though. Those supersonic missiles that Iran fired at the Abraham Lincoln, our aircraft carrier, those were Chinese. It's clear that the Iranians have more of those Chinese missiles. I did not hear that. When did that happen? These supersonic missiles being fired at the Abraham Lincoln. That's news to me, but I'm not in the news as much as I would like. He warned that any direct hit on U.S. military assets could immediately alter the relationship between Washington and Beijing. God forbid if one of those missiles hit an American ship, our relationship with China changes overnight. Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, we are giving weaponry to the Ukrainians that's using against the Russians, so I don't know how much. The broader concern, he noted, is that China's involvement is not limited to isolated support, but spans multiple layers of assistance that stop just short of direct military engagement. Yeah, but like I said, all this could be just turned around to exactly what we're doing with Ukraine and Russia, supplying them munitions, their weaponry. It's the same thing. So, I mean, I like to try my best. I fall short for sure, as do a lot of people, trying to have linear logic. Like, well, if it's okay over here, is it going to be okay over here? Same thing. If we're doing it with Ukraine, you know, you can't really blame China for giving munitions to Iran. I think it's a little odd that, you know, they want to do that. I mean, you're giving weaponry to a regime that's the leading sponsor of terrorism. Is it odd? Absolutely. But that's the world we live in. China's support for Iran is across the board. It's everything except for combat troops. We should consider China an enemy combatant. Well, they're definitely not our friend. An enemy, I'm not sure, but they're definitely not somebody that we want to tussle with either right now. As tensions persist in the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, a lot of our allies came out yesterday and they want to work together to figure out that area and get it going. So that was nice. It was nice to see a report that all our allies were kind of in on this together, going, yeah, you know what? I think Trump is right. We need to figure this out. We need to stabilize this area. It's ours, suckas, and get those ships going through those lanes with security. Chang suggested the current dynamic leaves the U.S. facing a growing challenge from a revival power benefiting from the conflict while avoiding direct accountability. Well, China's taking a hit right now. We saw those lines of those cars. It looked like the 1970s here in the United States, just waiting for the gas. It's bad. Matter of fact, let's see if there's any reporting on that. Let's see if there's anything happening here with China's gas prices. Yeah, Angel saying here, Iran war is hurting China's oil. Let me see if there's any latest on it. The last thing I got was from March 11th, so it's been a while. It says short-term oil prices volatile around $100 a barrel. U.S. gas is up 23% to about $3.68 a gallon. Iran's economy, oil, 90% of exports, mostly to China, faces revenue squeeze. We have here, this is from a week ago. China's panic isn't about a global gas crisis or Hormuz being mined. Only 20% of the world's oil flow through the strait. I mean, that's still 20 only. Why? Only 20%? You know how much? That's an insane number. I love how people, it's only 20%. It's the same people that look at the budget, right? The percentage and proportions can be very misleading when you're talking about the actual value of the proportion you're discussing. So, for example, what's 1 divided by 2 or 1/2? 50%. So if I came to you, I go, wow, DUIs increased 50%. That's all I said to you, increase 50%. You'd go, whoa. And I go, well, there was actually only 2 auto accidents. One of those was DUI. I'm just giving a silly example. It's, and last year we didn't have any or whatever. This year we have 50% increase because last year we didn't have any. Now we have 1 out of 2. I'm not, that would actually be 100% increase, but you get what I'm saying. But you go, okay, well, you're saying, wait, hold on. There was only one DUI. That's not that many. And everything that's going on around here, that's all. But then when you start getting into the numbers later and you're dealing with bigger numbers, 50% could be a lot. 20% could be a lot. 20% of $1 million is a lot of money. 20% of $100 isn't that much. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Maybe the money connected a little bit better. It's also morning. I'm trying to explain crap. 6:46 in the morning ain't easy. So give those that do a morning show, a little bit of a leeway here. This also broke yesterday too, and I'm sure many of you saw this because it was trending. Iran executes a 19-year-old champion wrestler, 2 others in horrific public hangings. Ugh. I mean, this one's rough. So Iran executed a 19-year-old wrestler in a public hanging Thursday, along with 2 other people who were arrested during the brutal crackdown of an anti-regime protest in January. This rising star was allegedly tortured to confess to the capital crime of waging war against God, with the teen executed without a fair trial, according to the human rights groups. His execution was a blatant political murder, part of the Islamic Republic's pattern of targeting athletes to crush dissent and terrorize society, a human rights activist and Iranian combatant athlete. Where's all the protests taken to the streets for this young man? Do you guys notice that? No lefties, no paid protests with the signs. Justice for Muhammad Adi. I don't know his name. I'm trying to get it, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. Muhammad Adi? Is that how you say it? Along with fellow protesters, were accused of these young men were accused of deleting 2 police officers with knives and swords during the January protest, according to Iranian state media. Following mass arrests during the January protest, President Trump said he was reassured by Tehran that the executions would not take place, claiming that he has saved lives of more than 800 demonstrators. I'm sure there's some truth to that, but that's just awful. Now, maybe maybe they did do it, but the problem is that you're innocent until proven guilty. But what a lot of people don't remember is not the rest of the world. The rest of the world doesn't always follow those same logic. Usually other countries, depending on the country itself, you are guilty until proven innocent, which is a very, very scary, terrible thing. That somebody could just make an accusation about you, you are automatically guilty, and it's up to you to prove your innocence. Whoa. Don't like that one bit. One bit. That's what's going on with Iran. So could they have done it? Sure. You still should give them a fair trial to see if they actually did or didn't do it. And that's the most simplistic terms, right? A lot of these people will get into, and this is why I don't like debating the left or really anybody, because they get into like, well, what do you mean by fair trial? What do you mean by guilty? It's like, come on, can we just have a conversation or a debate? It's so, I've talked about this like ad nauseum. It's just so annoying to listen to these because I'm not an intellectual. I'm just an average Joe guy. It's like, as is a lot of people, to be fair, just average Joe people wanted to watch a debate, simplify it, make sense, make meaning of it. But then they get into like all this other stuff about type 1, type 2 errors, Well, if you really look at the legal process, it's all about the evidence that's brought up in the courtroom. The person could have committed the heinous act of which we're talking about, but the evidence that was presented to the jury wasn't enough to actually be conclusive that somebody was innocent or those types of things, which, by the way, is true. There is type 1, type 2 errors within the legal system. And for those that are in law, definitely know what I'm talking about. But okay, let's dumb it down. If you guys know O.J. Simpson, let's be real here. O.J. Simpson, if glove don't fit, you got to quit. O.J. got off. But if you want to talk about the evidence, you can hear from the police officers. There was a lot of evidence that was not presented in that courtroom that, let's be fair. Come on. I mean, O.J. A lot of stuff was pointing to the O.J. Hold on a second. I gotta sneeze. It's gone. It's gone. Somebody said elephant. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here in the news. I don't know what that Rumble thing, that link is for Rumble. Links don't work in the chat, just heads up, so there's no point in posting it. I think it's only fair that brutal regime leaders should suffer the same type of treatment they did to others. Yeah, I mean, they got bombed. They got big boy bombed. Repeat offender accused of brutally injuring cop walks free in $100 bond. Let's check this out. Let me mute that. A Colorado police officer suffered a serious head injury during a violent struggle with a suspected drug dealer, but the suspect, get this, was released on just $100 bond, despite prosecutors pushing for a much higher amount. Oh my God, dude. This is nuts. I'm not surprised. Brad, I thought I was a moderator. I cannot delete this guy's link. You are a moderator. I don't know. Oh well, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it is. I mean, I can't even delete it. Not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Where are we at here? $100, man. You smash a guy's head in, right? And you're just out on $100. A lot of these places will just let you out with nothing. No cash bail. The incident happened Tuesday evening in downtown Boulder. Yeah. Colorado, folks. There you have it. Should have known. Where officers were responding to an ongoing complaints about open drug use and overdoses in a public park. According to police, officers were speaking with a woman seen smoking suspected methamphetamine, which she pointed them to a man nearby who said she had sold her the drugs. When officers approached the suspect, later identified as Kai Brown, he attempted to flee. An officer gave chase, and during the struggle, both the officer and Brown fell into Boulder Creek. Police said the suspect landed on top of the officer, who struck his head on a rock. Ooh, God. Despite suffering a serious concussion along with cuts and bruises, the officer was able to help take Brown into custody before collapsing. He was transported to a hospital and has since been released and is recovering at home. Well, there you have it. So running away. Look. So the Boulder County District Attorney's Office said it requested a $20,000 secured bond, citing the suspect's criminal history, the seriousness of the charges, and the injuries of the officer. It doesn't matter if he has a history with these lefty judges. It doesn't matter. Or just the lefties in general. It doesn't matter one bit. Instead, a judge set a $1,000 bond with the option of Brown to just post $100 for release. And then they go out and delete somebody, you know, some young lady. Now, this hasn't happened with this individual, but we've seen it happen in the past. People are cool with it. I know, trust me, I am very self-aware that I repeat myself a lot on this show. But it deserves repeating. It's not bad enough. These people don't care that somebody has a rap sheet of 30, 40 crimes, and they should be allowed another chance to go out there again. They're just trying to live like the rest of us. That's the way they think of it. It's not working. And for those on audio, I'm pointing to my head. The brain don't work. If you can't figure it out after 5 times, and that's even crazy, we got a lot of questions, and I think Donald Trump is right. Bring back the wards. Bring back the psych wards. We're all tired of it, at least the normies of us. Look, there's silly, crazy people on the right. It's just not on the left, okay? Get these people off the streets so I can walk safely down the street without having to worry about something happening to me. I'm kind of tired about having to have my head on a swivel constantly. I would like to just, I don't know, focus on the moment that I'm in. I was down in Santa Monica, you know, the famous pier that you always see in movies with the Ferris wheel that goes around. It's always lit up. It's always, you know, in the movies. It's Santa Monica. And they have 3rd Street Promenade down there that's been completely carved out by the left. I mean, the amount of businesses that are empty, there's nobody down there anymore. It's really sad. But anyways, homeless everywhere. It smelled bad. Again, Santa Monica used to be really nice for those that didn't know. It used to be really nice. It was clean. 3rd Street Promenade, it was kind of, I don't want to say bougie, but it was clean. It was where everybody kind of went to go shopping back in the day. And the left have completely destroyed it, man. There's homeless everywhere, screaming, doing all sorts of stuff. We've covered videos about what's been going on there with Graham Stephan covering it with the carve out of the empty businesses, rents through the roof, homeless everywhere, attacking pedestrians. It's so bad. So anyways, I can't go down there and just enjoy myself. I got to keep my head on a swivel because you don't know and I mean this all seriousness, you don't know if a guy's just going to come up and stab you. You don't know. You could be at a stoplight, and we saw this happen. There was a guy recently, it wasn't in Santa Monica. He was just at a stoplight, and there was one of those, it wasn't a Ring camera, but it was, you know, a security camera that was looking onto the street. And a homeless guy just walked up and just started shanking him in the back. Just randomly. Just a random dude walking down, a homeless guy just started shaking the guy that was waiting to go to the crosswalk. So that's why on a crosswalk or anywhere, you literally have to keep your head on a swivel and keep your distance around people. And you have to discriminate. And I'm not saying discriminate on race. If somebody looks like a shady figure, you got to make sure you're keeping at least 4 or 5 feet from them. And, you know, if you have your significant other with them, you're also even more on alert. So that's a real thing. And these idiots want to keep voting for this stuff and allowing this to happen. You know, they had a tough course in life and they're still trying to figure it out. Cool. Figure it out somewhere else. Not on the street, not in playgrounds, not where kids are. You're not masturbating in front of kids on the street. You're not selling drugs and doing drugs in front of kids where they have to cross through your encampment to get to school. Yeah, no. How about we don't do that stuff? But because people aren't normies anymore, and they're the ones running the show, and they're the most loud, we all have to deal with this bullshit. I'm sorry to cuss, but I'm kind of tired of it. I am really, really getting tired of it. That we all have to accept everybody's opinion. You know what? You want to know why we have to do that? Quote, we have to do that in air quotes. Because you have to do it in the education system. And so you have multiple generations, 2 generations probably now at this point, that are growing up thinking that their opinion is as good as somebody else's. It's not. And you can't have teachers that go, yeah, you know what? That's a really dumb opinion. If I said that let's say somebody said the Holocaust was a great idea. Should you indulge that opinion in the classroom? Is that something that everybody should be like, oh, I think Joey Bag of Donuts over there in the back that's a complete psycho is totally onto something. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's indulge it. Or do you say, no, that's pretty crazy. That's a little psycho statement. You can't do it. No, sir. Parents being called in after school hours. So now you got to take time away from your family to discuss how you're the problem as the teacher for maybe telling the kid that he's a little bit crazy for saying something super deranged. How'd you get there? And by the way, you have to confirm that the kid's thinking was totally in line. Oh, it makes sense. And so now you're going down that road. Now there's a lawsuit, right, for discrimination, maybe racism or harassment. I don't know, something out there. People are like, Brad, this happened to you? No, it hasn't. No. You want to know why? Because I don't even bring stuff like that. I don't want to teach history, but you get what I mean. It's like I navigate that stuff. No. I try not to ask people's opinions too much when I was a teacher. Truthfully, I didn't really care because I taught statistics. So there is no opinion. If there is no opinion, you're either right or you're wrong. That's the great thing about it. The only opinion you can get is maybe an interpretation of some graph, maybe. But that's why I picked math over history. I almost became a history teacher if I would have went to Long Beach State, which I did get into for my for another bachelor's degree. But then I got into USC for a master's. I was like, I'll go do the master's. So Long Beach State was actually a history degree for teaching, and then my master's was to be a mathematics teacher. And I wanted to do that because there's no argument. You didn't get the answer right. Sorry, bud. I don't need to hear your, oh, well, it's my opinion about why I thought this thing should have happened or shouldn't have happened. And I want to justify my craziness. Nope, I'm good. Yeah, sorry, that's wrong. So this entire generation, to bring it back, is being looped in that their crazy delusions is completely acceptable, and you got to deal with their shenanigans. Matter of fact, there was let me see if I could find this for you. Hold on one second, folks.
No, I
You're
just
probably
thought it
hearing
was
this too.
funny
Hold on a
that this
second.
particular gentleman.
Let me mute that for you guys. Let's see. College. There was this woman that was on, and hopefully I didn't mute my mic. Okay, my mic's good. There's this woman that talked about college students. She went back to college. I'm about to play it for you, and this is what she had to say. She's totally spot on.
So I decided to go back to college, and long story short, boy, are these kids stupid. Oh my God. I have been out of school for quite a while. I'm not gonna give away my age, but I cannot believe these kids. They can't read, they can't write. I'm not great at math, but they don't even know like the basic like 5th grade math. One girl said to me in I think this was my speech class last semester, I'm taking notes. She said, oh, you're writing things down? I didn't know we were supposed to take notes. In school, you didn't know that we were supposed to take notes in class? Oh my God. Mind you, she said this was her 3rd time taking that class because she failed it twice. How do you fail speech? That's one of the easiest courses to pass. Literally all you have to do is show up and like give class participation every once in a while and you're good. You failed twice. This is your 3rd time taking it and you still didn't bring a notebook. Our future is cooked.
Been saying it for years. People don't know how bad it is. I try my best to describe how bad it is and how bad it's getting, and it's not enough. I'm trying to find a way that we can present to the public how bad things are. You have, in a mass level, people that are graduating high school at alarming rates that don't know how to read or do basic math. And that's why I brought up that UCSD study where 12.5% of freshmen currently, right now, sitting at UCSD, San Diego, can't do elementary school math. Folks, that's like 2 + 7 = 2 plus an empty box, like a plug-in number. How do you get both sides to equal the same? Like, how do you get this, like 7 + 2, right? 9. How do you get this side that has a 2 on it to also equal 9? Well, you would just add in the 7 into the box. They can't do that. Almost 13%. Okay, that's just elementary school math. And they graduated high school with 4.0s in math. 4.0 means perfect, folks. You are pretty much in the upper echelon of IQ. It's all fake. It's all BS. And if you have a kid, please, for the love of God, if your kid even has a B right now, it ain't a B. If your kid has a B in school, you got to really start asking questions. And I'm as serious as a heart attack, dude. I don't mean to scare you. If your kid even has, I would say, a high C, they're most likely a dear F. Most likely. Enough for me to gamble with, put it that way. And I'm a cheap ass. I've said this to you guys time and time again. Please, for the love of God, if you have a kid, I would say it's worth money going even getting them tested to see what level they're actually at. Don't be fooled by these grades. If your kid's walking home with a 4.0 and I just relayed that to you, that even kids with 4.0s can't do 2 + 7 = 2 plus a number, and you don't want to listen to me, then whatever. Exactly. Mizzy has it right. GPA doesn't necessarily relate to IQ these days. Exactly. Correctamundo. Which is why they're bringing back the SAT, ACT for a lot of these schools. Even though it's not an IQ test, it's the closest thing they're doing to an IQ test that actually does have some sort of strong correlation between, success rate and, some sort of intelligence. But here's the problem. Drag's saying this, and we used to agree. Future ditch diggers with a D. That is true, but the problem is with these public unions, you could go dig those ditches and make $100,000 a year. The whole idea of like, well, when we grew up, well, you're gonna be, digging ditches. You're gonna be working at McDonald's. Who gives a shit? You could work at Panda Express over in Irvine, California, for example. Only reason because I drove past it and I took video of the sign. You're making $52,000 a year to freaking wipe down desks, like tables. That whole thing doesn't work for these kids anymore. You know what I mean? That whole thing of like, oh, you're gonna be digging holes. They'll be like, I don't give a shit. My dad digs holes too. He's making $120,000 a year. How much are you making? They don't care, dude. No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, no, that whole thing doesn't fly. By the way, I'm with you, but the problem is that all these labor unions are jacking up the price of everything. And you're making 6 figures digging a hole. Yeah, that stuff doesn't work anymore for these kids. They want to be streamers, influencers, they're chasing the bag. So it's bad. It's bad. And it's nationwide. It's nationwide. Watch the fear in young cashier. If you use cash, they try to make change. Yeah, they can't count. Anyways, all right, folks, we're getting out of here. I hope all of you had a lovely weekend, a lovely Friday as well. We're going to be back here Monday. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. We have Instagram now. We have TikTok, which people, be careful. There's multiple accounts circulating on TikTok that are claiming to be me, and these are not small accounts. These people have accrued 11,000 followers, 13,000 followers off my name, off my brand, off my videos. I've had people report them. TikTok is not removing them. According to TikTok, they're allowed to impersonate people. It's against their violations, by the way. There's literally a report tab to report people for impersonating other people. So these guys, by the way, if you have over 10,000 followers on TikTok, you're making money. People are making money off my image, and they're also messaging people trying to sell them stuff and what's the thing? Scam them. I have one account. And by the way, they won't verify me, so people don't know who's who. That freaking platform, dude, is just wild, wild west, man. So anyways, be careful. I have one platform. My link's in here. Bald Brad, just be careful. If you're unsure, message the person and or email me personally. Just email me, be like, is this you? I'll say yes or no. Anyways, I hope all of you have a lovely weekend. Karen, I saw your email. I was aware of that hockey video when it happened, and good for that kid. I did see that. I think it was last week it came out. But anyways, take care of yourselves. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. Pray for everybody else, our allies, your family, your friends, everybody. Spend some time in the scriptures, folks, especially this weekend. Sunday's coming up, Lord. Lord knows we all need to be blessed by him. And, pray for me too. I could always use power. Prayer is effective. I could use prayer as well. Take care, you guys. Have a great weekend. God bless.